for black and white, dark days in the summer. A million ways to toe the line. Can't wait, holy other. Might as well be the seventh sign. Ooh, it goes hand in hand with fear for the afterlife. Ooh, how can we fight it, we don't even know why. While the dollar is strong, while nobody else relies, when they turn the corner, when you know we're out of sight, dark days in the summer, in the rain, the water's fine. It was wild combination, either that or right down the line. Ooh, it goes hand in hand with fear for the afterlife. Ooh, how can we fight it, we don't even know why. I've been on the way, I've been on the way for so long. I've been on the way, I've been on my way for so long.
Yo, it's Rooster Grooves. I'm Jesse. Across from me is Jay. And that makes this Rooster Grooves. What's up, Jay?
Welcome along, everybody. Rooster Grooves, another episode, edging towards 100 episodes.
Pretty close. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
That was an awkward opening of mine, so
Well,
I try to make it awkward.
I think I want to. That's something we should do. Is you should edit all the awkward moments together and put them together in a compilation.
I was thinking of that.
as part of our 100th birthday.
Yeah, just the worst
I don't know,
moments.
the worst
It's
moments.
just all,
We should take all the ums.
uh,
I notice I say yes a lot every time you're speaking.
yes.
You know, I'm
yes.
breaking the rule of radio, which is you should just stay silent and nod your head. But it's really hard for me to. Not
I think
be
it's
like,
good to have those affirmations like, right,
Yeah.
yep, I hear
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Bet.
I do that a lot.
Hell yeah.
Can you explain bet to me though? Because you text that to me a lot, and I'm not hip. I don't actually know what that means. Sometimes I Google it, I find the meaning, and then I forget what the meaning is, and then you text bet to me again, and I'm like, I don't know.
I think I know what it means. I don't know where the etymology is, but I think it's like you bet.
Oh, is that it? Is that it?
Like you betcha. Like, and it's just short and bet.
Okay.
Like, yep, got it. Heard.
Okay.
Yep. Like,
All right.
like an affirmation, like, yep, I heard you, let's do it. Like, you want to go to the store? Yeah, bet.
So you've taken you betcha and you bet and shortened it to bet.
Even shorter.
Soon we'll be just down to et. Or something
Yeah.
else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eh. Got it.
If that's wrong, let me know. Kids.
Yeah, it means something else completely.
Something
Who
not
knows?
nice. Okay, but anyway, let's get into this, guys. We don't have all night.
No.
Our listeners are busy people.
Yeah.
We're talking about local natives.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
sorry, I was going to talk about some more BS, but let's get into this.
Why did you have more BS?
I have. It's endless. It's endless. Talk about that all day. So we're out of Los Angeles, Silver Lake specifically. This is a group of 5 or 6 guys.
Yeah.
It's hooky, nuanced indie rock.
Yes.
A lot of good lyrical stuff, like folky lyricism and kind of narrative and storytelling, and just the general lyrical vibe and even melody vibe. But the music is kind of, it's got a lot of folky kind of energy, but a little bit of post-punk or post rock energy as well, as we'll see. And it all balances, and it comes from these different influences, as we'll talk about the scenes, the musical scenes that were going on in the past, like from the 2000s to 2010s. And this band, Local Natives, kind of came up from that scene in the early 2000s, the post rock,
right?
Kind of hard, not hardcore, but bands like The Strokes or White Stripes,
right?
And then moving into like Vampire Weekend or Arcade Fire,
right?
And so this is a band that kind of brought up in that wave that's been going on the past, like from 20 years ago, essentially.
Right. Yeah.
And so they made kind of some waves coming up with good music. And a lot of it's, I guess, if you're talking about the criticisms, people would argue, like, is this band themselves? Are they totally influenced? Like, are they too influenced by the stuff happening around them? Or are they leading the way?
Which is a weird thing. You're talking about how people compare them a lot to like what Fleet Foxes and Arcade Fire. And
Yeah,
stuff.
just painting a picture about where they stand in the music scene and whether they're progressive or if they're followers.
Right.
And it's just, that's completely subjective.
Yeah.
And it means nothing as far as how good the music is and how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
But just trying to put some context out there for what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But basically, it's an indie rock band coming out of the 2010s. Very good stuff. Really cool harmonies. Like Southern California bands always coming out with good harmony music. I don't know why.
Surf
vibes.
On that track, I got it. It's not like surf rock, but
totally.
Definitely like cruising along the beach with the wind in your hair. The sun's out, listening to this song.
Yeah, you can taste the salt on the air. You can feel the wind on your bangs, and it's nice. Yeah. So that's what these guys are bringing to the table. What do they have? 3 or 4 albums out?
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess we got a track to play later on. It's one of the tracks that informed me about the band.
Oh yeah.
That I was influenced by, and this band for me keeps coming up over the past like 5 years, mostly 5 years.
Really?
Just on different playlists, where I am, whatever. Just I keep seeing it.
Yeah.
So eventually I looked into it and I'm like, oh, these guys do this song. Oh, they also do that song.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of songs that I liked.
Right.
I was like, wow, I kind of like this band. Hence bringing them to the table to Rooster Grooves today so we can hash it out and really get into it.
So like their biggest played track on Spotify is the one we opened with, right? Dark Days. Mm-hmm. But I hadn't heard that before. So it's interesting.
I wanted to start with that one because I think it's low-key not very known. It's not super well known.
Yeah.
But
do you know who the vocalist is? There's like a female vocalist on that, right?
Yeah, I don't know what happened with that.
Yeah.
We'll look that up. Well, let me look that up because
that hit me sideways from everything I've seen about them. I didn't think they had collaborators, so we'll have to look that up. Yeah.
And I failed on that to find that out. But for example, they also released a track where the same song, except for Sylvan Esso is doing the female vocals.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what's going on with that specific part, but they just like featuring a female.
I don't know Sylvan Esso. I've heard that name though, but I don't know who.
I believe that's a band from Iceland.
Oh, okay. All right. Interesting. I'm intrigued.
Or I'm mixing them up with...
My interest is peaked.
I might be mixing them up with Sigur Rio.
Oh, Sigur Rós.
Sigur Rós.
Yeah.
But I thought they were also from, I think...
They could be.
I think Sylvan Esso is also...
Icelandic could be.
I think, but let's...
Yeah. Let's take a step off the brake here, boy.
Let's take a step. Okay. But we'll find that out in the process here. But anyway, Local Natives.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool band. We got another song we're about to play. Let's get into it. And this is a song off of their first album, their first full-length LP.
Could it ever be on earth as it is in heaven?
Yes, you're listening to Rooster Grooves. That was the Local Natives with a track called Wide Eyes from their debut album, Gorilla Manor. That came out all the way back in the fine year of 2009.
That was a great year.
That was a great year. And Gorilla Manor, what was named after the house that they all lived in when they all moved to LA, right, as a band. And I think one of the worst questions they were ever asked in an interview was, "Does that mean you all monkey around?" Apparently, was the thing. But apparently they did monkey around because they didn't get their deposit back from that place they rented because they.
Oh, really?
I don't know what they did. They just, like, partied too much. They were young, so
They were kids.
I mean, basically, so this band started. They all met in high school and have been together. It's been a bit of a lineup change, but essentially they've been together since high school, through college, through dropping out of high school. Some of them graduated, some of them dropped out. They all moved in together into this house in LA and just started this musical career, pretty much. Like,
Yeah, that's
yeah. Do you know anything else about the early years? Of these,
no,
yeah, okay,
no. Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Starting, Orange County
right,
High School.
Yeah.
And real quick, I was just gonna say, did we say their names?
Well, we didn't. No, we should do that.
We got guitarist Ryan Hahn, right?
Yeah,
Taylor Rice,
vocals and guitar.
Kelsey Ayer,
Vocals, keyboards, percussion, guitar.
so Rice is like the main lead.
Yeah.
But then these other guys do like backing lead.
Right.
You know, right? Like
Yeah,
they're all
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
doing
yeah.
these harmonies, and they're all kind of,
Yeah.
when I saw him do the Tiny Desk concert, there's like essentially 3 vocalists,
Yeah.
for example, But anyway,
Yeah.
that was all of them. Was that?
No, Matt Fraser, drums.
Oh, he was on my next paragraph. I wasn't there yet, Jay. I'm going by paragraphs.
Okay.
here.
Okay.
I did my notes.
Who else? Who else? You have there?
Who else do I have? Let's see. Matt Frazier.
No. Matt Fraser. That's what I
No,
just
we already
said.
said.
Did I
Oh, no,
just
Andy Ham.
who used to be bass guitar. He left in 2011.
Right. And then, so who replaced him? I don't have that.
Nick Ewing is who replaced him on bass. Does keyboards and backing vocals as
Okay.
well. They used to have a drummer for like one hot minute for 1 year, Joey Monaco, from 2005 to 2006.
Joey Monaco's a great name.
That's a great name. Porn star name or stand-up comedian,
Yeah, he could have a varied career.
or just like your friend that you live in Las Vegas and you have this one friend who's a little bit crazy that wears this sequin jacket. Don't worry about him. That's just Joey Monaco.
Let's go to Monaco's later.
I'm sorry, Joey. I don't know what he's up to now. But yeah, basically, you said the 3 vocalists, Taylor, Kelsey, and Ryan, right? Mm-hmm. Are also the 3 lead songwriters in the band. They're the ones that contribute pretty much all of the music, and then they all come together as a band to flesh it out, kind of thing. So,
Yeah. So, I guess we're just talking about kind of their high school, and they played in some various punk bands.
Right. Yeah.
They were just kind of in the scene, some post-hardcore, rock bands. They were in and out of these bands.
In Orange County.
Yeah.
Around that time. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's basically all I know.
Yeah, and I think it was interesting. I used to basically do the old school thing with like rehearsing in a garage. One of the, I'm not sure whose garage it was, but one of the band members. And I think Taylor kind of explained how the vocal kind of stylings come about, because if you listen to Local Natives thing, one of the main things is the harmony, right? As we talked about, like the 3 vocals layered up. And Taylor basically said it was because they're all teenagers and they all wanted to sing. Like, they all wanted to be the singer kind of thing. And so they figured it out by just being like, well, we can all sing, but let's harmonize. And so they used as inspiration Beach Boys, Crosby, Stills and Nash, a few other artists like that kind of thing, to sort of really hone in on like, okay, we can do this. Like you do high, low, middle, and then we'll switch it up kind of thing, So not one person's always doing the high and, and stuff like that. And so that was like something they established very early on as teenagers in a garage kind of thing. And something they've really kept on to throughout all the years. And I think you sort of opened up the show sort of saying about how there was this weird sort of comparison of Local Natives to other bands like Fleet Foxes and stuff like that. And it's funny because I think it was around 2010, I saw briefly like a Guardian interview just now about talking about them and how they said that they were halfway through making their first album when Fleet of Foxes came out with their first thing. And they were like, oh shit, like you guys better listen to this because they're going to eat our lunch or something like that.
Yeah.
Like they hadn't heard them, they didn't know of them, and they come out with like a similar sounding vibe kind of thing.
That's what's interesting. The Fleet Foxes weren't around for a long time before they dropped their first album.
Right.
And then people are going back and being like, oh, you guys copied their band.
Yeah.
So it's just an interesting, subjective, I don't know what to say.
And I think one of the band members from Local Natives sort of said, like, okay, we were angry, but then they were like, let's not be so angry. Let's actually realize that one of the commonalities is the harmonies, and now people are liking listening to harmonies. So now what we're offering is actually like not so weird or out of place kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. But that whole thing about being compared to those bands, I think it's a weird sort of like, it comes back to this weird press coverage media thing. Something I'm seeing a lot of commonalities in every artist that we research for this show is that there's common threads. There's like a storyline. And I forgot to mention it because in our last episode with Frank Moody, he just said something off the cuff, but it like, oh, okay. He said because he was asked about how would they describe their music. And he was like, oh, this is something we stew on a lot when we were putting together our press release and creating our plot line. He said plot line, the word plot line. To me, it was really interesting because it resonated with me because I'm seeing this now in everything that we've like see about other bands. There is a plot line. There is a story that they want to get out there. It's like the artist's story, their narrative kind of thing.
That's what I'm saying. The narrative is key to human existence, bro.
Yeah.
It's like that's what we do is tell stories, and narrative is deep within our psyche.
So there's something I see a lot of all of these artists, and I think and we've probably seen this before with other like famous people. Is like you either own the narrative about you, or it gets put on you. And I think this is kind of what's happened with Local Natives is that weird narrative of being compared to all of those different bands was put on them by all of these weird journalists that had nothing else to write about or couldn't think about what to write about.
Right.
And they did this weird comparison thing. Like
this band sounds like this band. They must be copying them. I'm gonna write about it.
I got to read you this fucking phrase because I thought it was funny. Someone described them. Oh shit! I lost my place. Okay, a fleet of arcade vampires on fire.
Wow.
This journalist used all those band names in that. A fleet of arcade vampires on fire to describe Local Natives.
Well, that's poetic.
Sometimes I'm like, these journalists are like, I feel really smart writing this. Just you wait until this is on the internet.
Look at these adjectives.
Because anyway, but
Good for them.
something I thought about just So it aggravates me sometimes when we're researching artists and I come across sort of common themes that are written about time and time again.
Like cliches.
Like cliche. It's kind of like journalists grappling onto straws.
Yeah.
They had nothing original to write about. They can't think about how to talk about an artist other than to use comparisons. Comparison is the thief of joy, anyway. So, you know.
Nice. Mic drop.
Outs, mic drop.
End of the episode.
Yeah.
Anyway, but let's move along here. So Rice was attending UCLA after high school, and I think the other guys weren't in university. I think
Like a few of them dropped out straight out of high school, I think.
right. So they were all still like together as a unit,
Yeah.
creating music. But he was at UCLA, and they were all just doing their own thing, whatever. Rice graduated in 2008, I believe.
Okay.
The time period we're working in. That's when they recruited the drummer Matt Frazier, and also Andy Ham, bass player.
Okay.
And then this is when they moved to Silver Lake
Yeah.
of Los Angeles.
Right.
So this is after they're all graduated,
Yeah.
or they not graduated, but after Rice graduated, they're all done with high school.
Yeah.
They're kind of like at the beginning of their lives now as far as their band.
Yeah.
You know, they haven't released an album yet, but they're coming up on it. So fast forward 2011, Ham left the group. And that's just my little note. So I don't know. They started making their first album though, right?
Yeah. Was Andy Ham on the first album?
I don't know. That's
I think he was, on Gorilla Manor.
'cause it was, 2010.
Yeah. It was all recorded at Red Rocket's Glare Studio, apparently, which is in West Los Angeles. Produced by, Raymond Richards. Recorded and produced by Raymond Richards. I don't know anything about. I just put credit where credit's due. So.
He did it. So I mean, they come out pretty hot, and they got some good.
It's a great album.
Yeah.
It's I think I saw it written somewhere and it resonated with me a little bit. Battle cry. You know what I mean by that? The music is the album's has this sort of kind of battle cry energy to it. A lot of that sort of tribal percussive drums.
Okay, yeah.
With like kind of the singing is almost chanting, not
Right.
quite, but you know. So it's kind of that sort of like.
No, they
same
were
energy.
kind of not latching, but they found themselves in that kind of energy.
Yeah.
That same kind of that 2010s, you know.
Right.
I don't know. I think that's a similar vibe that they were feeling, as well as the other bands in the scene.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
out. I'm out.
Okay. Yeah.
So here's what I'm saying though. 2010.
Yeah.
In the greater scene, there was a blog scene, and they capitalized on that.
Oh, okay.
And that's how I think they got a lot of their just the word out that they were a band. That they had a new album out,
Right.
their debut album.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a website called Hype Machine,
Yeah.
and it's like lists of blogs, and they saw the names of blogs, so they just let's hit them up, let's
Right.
let them know we're out here.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the big kind of catalytic things that
Wow.
got the ball rolling for their band, I believe, is blogs.
Okay. Yeah.
At least one, they were probably doing a bunch of other stuff, but that was what I came across online.
Yeah.
So their first album comes out, and it's pretty good. Pretty good
Yeah.
acclaim. They started playing around, right? They toured.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And so
mean,
it was a success.
it debuted on the Billboard 200 at number 3 in the new artist chart.
So that's huge.
That is pretty big for a fucking debut album. Number 3 on any kind of chart anywhere.
Yeah. And so one of the interesting things is that this band, they've been playing live before that album came out.
Yeah.
Before that album came out, they were playing live. So they were cutting their teeth, like learning how to do harmonies live,
Yeah.
play their songs live.
Yeah.
And like that was a lot of the work that went in
Yeah.
before they actually got their break.
Yeah, they said they did hundreds of shows
Yeah.
before putting out their first album. So
Yeah.
they sort of, skin in the game or whatever, or just cutting your teeth, like for sure, like that's a big thing,
Yeah. So and that's what allowed them to, once they got the opportunity, that they perceived it as luck or
Right.
whatever. Like these things are happening, but it's really because they were prepared. Like we've discussed, they were prepared for the opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
They had the chops. They could play. They could go on tour and play shows. And that's huge. So they did.
Well, yeah. I mean, maybe this is the same for every artist we cover, but they're definitely one of these bands that made it happen, you know.
Right.
And by
DIY.
yeah, and by that I mean, you know, they didn't like just play a few shows and were like, oh, people like us. Oh, someone wants to sign us. We're successful now. No, they specifically all moved into one house in LA to work on music and to pursue this career kind of thing. And so they were all very much, you know, like, we're going to do this kind of thing. And so they made it happen, you know.
I love it. It was a decision of conviction.
Yeah. And the Hype Machine thing is a very proactive way of promoting yourself.
Again, DIY.
Exactly, yeah. Doing all the shows yourself kind of thing. One gray area is I don't know how they got their record deal, you know.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff, it is coming across as like shallow, or I don't have a lot of info, but that's what I could find.
But also, you know, a lot of artists don't put that out there. It's very rare to sort of find the information on how an artist got signed.
It's still like a little bit of, still some artists want to be perceived as like mystic or like mysterious.
Yeah. That also, and, you know, it's interesting, I see, because going back to that whole conversation about the narrative and press and PR for an artist kind of thing, it's like, if you don't put the information out there, then it's not out there. And by out there, I mostly mean the internet, because let's face it, we're not going...
The internet is everything.
We're not knocking down people's doors to like find the answers here or going to the library, you know?
Yeah.
So like, if it's not on the internet, you know, it means they haven't talked about it publicly kind of thing, you know, in a way that's meaningful for someone to write it down, like it's on a website. So
Exactly.
yeah. So it's not, I think it's less mystique and more just sort of like, it's not something that they want to focus on.
It's
like,
it's not a
part of
narrative that they're
yeah.
like, here's how we got signed.
Yeah.
Like that's not what they care about.
But for us, that's interesting, you know, as musicians, and
Right.
the roots to grooves,
And I mean that's
you know how these artists came from nothing to something kind of thing, yeah.
And that's
So,
information we would love to present to you guys. Sometimes we can't find it, but that's why we're all here together. So if you guys could show us or inform us,
Maybe we'll just go
drop
back
some knowledge.
through every episode and do a one-on-one interview with the actual artist we talked about.
Eventually, we should
We'll confront them. We'll like
compare, contrast.
contrast.
Dude, what did we get wrong?
Exactly.
Everything.
Everything, yeah.
We're canceled.
But yeah.
No, so let's just move on because we don't
let's
know
move on,
too much about the details about this stuff. So the next album comes out is Hummingbird.
Right. Yeah.
And so that one's, you know, I don't know. It's more good stuff. This band kind of slowly progresses.
Yeah, they're progressing. They're building on the same vibes
Yeah,
as
building.
Gorilla Manor, I think.
It's another good album.
Yeah.
Some people really like it. Some people are critical of it.
Yeah.
But overall, it's a great album.
Yeah.
Like it's a great, decent album from a new band, is what I'm saying. And that dropped in 2013.
Yeah.
And there's 12 songs on it.
It's produced by Aaron Dessner of a band called The National. I've heard of The National.
Yeah, National's pretty big.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Hummingbird is a little bit of a more bleak
Yeah.
vibe.
Introspective. Someone did say it departed from the battle cry urgency. So that's where I kind of got that thing from.
Totally.
Earlier. Yeah.
But this one was a little bit more subdued in that sense.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to say, because there's some cool artwork on here, and it's featured like a ledge, and there's a guy like halfway on, halfway off, and like his buddies are around him, presumably helping or something. We'll put that up on the screen now so we could all see. Nice.
I thought it was a painting, but I think it's a photo that's been photoshopped a bit.
Right, exactly. And so in the background, it's just sky.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna fall. So it's a cool image.
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is the guys in the band do all of the artwork, and they all have history with graphic design, and so they're artists, so they just keep it in house. They're like, we can do it, and we want to have the control. We don't want to relinquish that control or objectivity.
Yeah.
For our brand, for our art,
Yeah.
and so we're just gonna do it.
Yeah.
And so they do it, and I just think that's cool.
Yeah.
So again, hitting the DIY aspect, and just being really all encompassing and really creating art and putting it out.
Yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
in just the most grassroots way. Because like connecting with other artists and using other art for your artwork is fantastic. I have no problem with that. It's great.
Yeah.
But it's just also really cool to see people doing DIY stuff
Yeah.
and making the music and making their own art.
Yeah.
It's just cool to see.
Definitely. Well, it like completes the vision. Like, I think, I mean, really, if you think about it, like releasing music, it's been sort of a bit of a commercial thing, right? Because, you know, if someone like Bob Dylan back in the day put out an album, he didn't care about music videos or marketing or PR or artwork. He just cared about writing the songs, you know?
Well, that's what I've been thinking about a lot, and what I've been looking at or reading about, like how our society is in a postmodern society where advertising is the same as entertainment, and they're like, it's all mixed up.
Yeah.
Like the branding,
Right.
Like we watch ads, but
Yeah.
it's like a TikTok, for example,
Yeah.
and it's a skit,
Yeah.
and it's meant to be entertaining,
Yeah.
and you can watch it and like, oh, that's funny, but it's an ad.
Right. Yeah.
But it's both.
Yeah.
It's literally both.
Well, sometimes they do it on purpose, like Saturday Night Live. They'll do a whole comedy sketch with like brand names in it. And so it's definitely a tie-in somehow.
It's mixed up.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
art, it's entertainment,
Yeah.
and it's capitalism,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah. America.
So it's just a weird little side quest there.
Yeah, well, that's like kind of what I was trying to get at is like back in the day, I think like releasing an album was seen by a record label was more like packaging. How do we promote and market this artist and music
Yeah.
to sell things kind of thing, to sell the records. Whereas, you know, if you think about it from an artist level, like, okay, if I need to do a video and if I need to do artwork, I would rather own that package rather than delegate it to someone else,
Right.
you know. And every artist is different, even up until like new artists now. That's fine, you know. You don't have to do it all yourself, but the opportunity is there to do that, to really like, you know, if you have a grand vision for things. I mean, some people call it a concept album, right? But it doesn't necessarily have to be a concept album. It could just be like these guys are doing, Local Natives, is they know how they want to present their music kind of thing. You know?
And so if you know that,
Yeah.
better to just have the control and do what you want
Exactly.
instead of have somebody else try to get what you already know you want.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, I say we move on
Yeah.
because I want to play another song.
Yeah.
Sunlit Youth comes out in 2016.
Yes.
So that's their next album. That's their third full-length LP. There's 12 songs on it.
And a departure,
yeah.
sound-wise, again.
So yes, narrative change, plot.
Yeah.
The plot thickens. So yeah, I mean, talk to me.
Well, I mean, I said that someone said the second album was a departure from the Battle Cry Urgency, which is a fine description to have. But also, I feel like the first two albums sound like the same band. It's like, you know, we're an indie rock band, we're doing this thing kind of thing. Sunlit Youth comes out. To me, this is very different. Like, it's almost poppy sounding. It's more polished. It's not your average indie rock band. It's like they've made a decision to make a different sound now.
Yeah.
I think that's what I feel about it.
I think this band does things intentionally,
Yeah.
which is what I like.
Yeah.
I think what we both like. And I think they did make an intentional change. And I don't know exactly the context of what they were aiming for, but it seems a little bit, you know, leveled up. As there's a poppier edge to it.
Yeah.
Although it is still indie rock.
Yeah.
In the arena of indie rock, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's more artistic. Like it's a little bit more dynamic as far as the music, like the writing production goes.
Right.
But before we talk about it more, let's play this track.
Yeah.
This is another track that one of the ones that was swirling around on playlists over the years, and I just kept coming across it. And I was like, wow, okay, not bad.
Time stands still and then one day it's gone. Where did it go? Where did I go? We couldn't wait to go. But I can't fight the feeling anymore. You know I tried, I know you tried. We're still waiting to arrive. Ooh, how much is enough? while, waiting for the sun to rise. Well, how come you can be so sure about everything when I go to sleep, you're waking up? How much is enough? How can you be sure I start a day so late in the evening? How much is enough? Sometimes all you know it feels like that we're on the same side of different coins. Somehow I could do more now. If we gotta struggle, I wanna struggle again now. How much is enough? How can you be sure I start a day so late in the evening? How much is enough?
Coins by the local natives from their third album, Sunlit Youth. Different vibe there from their first two albums.
I like it though.
It's almost a little bit, I want to say like a lilting reggae vibe, but it's not really reggae. But you know what I mean? There's like something in there that's like a little bit.
No, like it could have been if they put that
Yeah.
that kick on the 3, you know, like
Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because the bass line is very like sort of dubby almost. Or something
yeah, no,
like that,
totally.
right? Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So you can see how they expand with this kind of dynamic thing. It's like
Yeah.
it starts as this really bluesy, dry vocal thing, and then it like the bassy synthy thing comes in, and it's like whoa, this is expansive. I'm gonna do for different,
Yeah.
you know, arena as far as listening to this.
Yeah.
So very cool.
Yeah, I think they did a few different things for this album, I think, which contributed to the change in sound. One of the biggest things being their own outlook and perspective on things. Because, you know, they say they have big gaps between their albums, but it's because they're touring all the time. You know, so they'll release an album and they'll tour for 2 years non-stop, and then they need at least a year to recalibrate, write the next album, record it, get all that shit done. So like when it came time for this one, they'd already been in the game for a while. It's 2016. This came out, at least 6 years since their first album, but longer than that since they started making music as teenagers in high school and all that sort of stuff. But it was like Taylor sort of like talked about this concept of realizing, like maybe like in life we think the world is static, you know, it exists and we have to find our way to fit in it and make things work for us, kind of thing. And I think a revelation for him, and something that they all kind of shared as a band and wanted to communicate through this album, is that it's not, the world is not concrete. Like the world is actually yours for the making. Like you can, like, you know, do things in this world that can make change happen, sort of thing. Not, he didn't really say it in that way, but like,
No, but it's malleable.
yeah,
It's not binary, cut and dry out there. Like
yeah,
like you said, I got to find my way to fit into that.
yeah,
It's I create that.
yeah, yeah.
It's flipped.
So, you know, being a creator rather than a reactor. You know,
Right, exactly.
most of us are reacting to things, and it's easy to do when you're younger. You know, when you're in your 20s and you're just getting your life started or whatever, and it's like, you know, all of this reality adult shit is put on you kind of thing, and you know, and I don't know, maybe even as a kid, because I don't know about you, but like, you know, when I was a kid, you know, I always thought, oh, the adults, you know, they're the adults. They know everything about things. They're in charge and all that sort of stuff. And then you become an adult and you're like, oh no, we have just even less of a clue as us as children did.
Yeah.
We're still figuring it out, you know.
And then isn't that the most scary thought?
It is, yeah. Once you're an adult, you'll see. It was like, oh, I thought this was more of a like.
None of them knew what they were doing.
They didn't know what they were doing. Oh, fuck, we're all fucked.
Yeah.
No, but it's the good thing, and I think it's the thing that they've put through this album, Sunlit Youth. I haven't listened closely to the lyrics, but I think they're sort of communicating this idea through lyrically as well. But that sort of explains a lot about like the change in sound and what they're trying to communicate. Just them realizing that, you know, we can do things, we can change, make the world how we want it to be, and make our lives how we want it to be. Like we don't have to like be stuck reacting to these situations, being in a box kind of thing, and also like stagnating creatively as well. You know, like I think they were getting to a point where it was like, you know, they're touring and they're also listening to other music whilst they're touring, you know, in their own time, and their influences are widening, you know, and they want that to be reflected in the music they make as well. Yeah, there's like, just because we're an indie rock band doesn't mean we have to stick to the same lane. You know, we can actually change things. There's nothing stopping us from changing things. You know.
Yep.
And so that's what they did. And another part of this as well was like the travel aspect. Like they did a lot of traveling whilst they were writing for this album. They spent a lot of time in Thailand, in Joshua Tree. And I think it was this album where they said a lot of times they would do lyrics as like an afterthought kind of thing. Like it was like the very last thing. Basically, they like hummed melodies and they were like listening to these tracks with mumbles for months, you know. And I think Taylor was saying, we know how this goes because I think we have a few tracks right now between the two of us that have mumbles on them.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, placeholder
It's good
melodies.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's what has to happen.
But I think Taylor was like, sometimes you could get stuck with those phonetics and the cadence of that, and it's like almost putting yourself in a box. So I think this time around, they consciously wanted to try and write lyrics up front and try and get them done as early as possible. So when they went to Joshua Tree, that writing trip was not even music related. It was purely just writing lyrics. Kind of thing,
wow.
You know, so yeah, that I think there was a lot of different things that came into making this album, which is why it sounds so different. But the good thing I like about it is it's different than the first two, but I still really like it. Like I feel like they're going somewhere.
Right.
They're still making good music. It's not like a disappointing thing where they've turned direction too much
like
or whatever.
they tried something new and it didn't work.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I'm not going to follow this band anymore.
Yeah, or they've like, oh, I hate to say it, Fits and the Tantrums. We did an episode a few weeks ago. I mean, their first album to their most recent album, if you compare the two, it's like too opposite of a direction for me. Whereas,
For sure.
Whereas Local Natives, they're not going in a too opposite direction. They're sort of just recalibrating themselves as humans and how that relates to the music they're making.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
I mean, I really feel like the first two albums were like them coming into themselves and really proving to themselves that, okay, we could do this. We can reach these echelons that these other bands have done. We can tour. We can create good songs that people like and connect with. But now they're with Sunlit, or my bad, what is it called? Sunlit Youth.
Yeah.
It's more of like trailblazing focus.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're here. We're in this arena. We've built what we've built.
Yeah.
We're a band. Let's go off the path a little bit and forge our own way.
Yeah.
And that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. I say we move on to the next album.
Yeah. Violet Street.
So 2019, we're getting pretty caught up to modern times now. 10 songs, 2019, Violet Street. This is really good. This has one of their hugest songs on it.
Right.
And so basically I want to play that and then we can talk about it. because this song is just really good. Look at it live. It's another one of the ones that just kind of kept coming up, and I was like, oh, that's a dope song. Local Natives, put a pin in that. And then, I just kept seeing that come up with these other songs, Dark Days. And that's when I started to put it all together. But this song really impressed me.
Okay.
Just the harmonies, the way the song is driving, the way that it's just fully put together. It's really energetic and really beautiful. So it's called When Am I Gonna Lose You?
And laying down by my side, and the light that was still slipping through was painting your body in stripes. I remember the trees tumbling down like an archangel choir, and the ocean was all we could see, and I knew that I wanted you. I remember you closing the shutters and laying down by my side, and the light that was still slipping through was painting your body in stripes. I remember the trees tumbling down like an archangel choir, and the ocean was all we could see, and I knew that I wanted you.
When Am I Gonna Lose You, a massive track from Local Natives from their most recent album Violet Street, came out in 2019. that album was produced by this guy Shawn Everett. I don't know if you heard them talk about him at all in your research or anything. Like that.
No, I didn't, but the name's familiar.
Yeah, he's like fucking has a long, crazy ass list of credits.
Yeah.
Producing and mixing. He's done stuff for Beck, Weezer. He produced Tyranny, which is the Julian Casablancas and the Voids album. I think you maybe played. I don't know if you played me that album. You played me some Julian Casablancas stuff at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try to refrain from playing that stuff every episode.
You do?
Yeah.
Really? But you really want to?
Yeah, I could find a reason
You
to.
need to get your own show on SIGNL. You can play whatever you like, but not here.
Not here, though. He said, not here.
No, we could do that. We could go live on TikTok and do whatever we like.
Yeah, it's time to go live again.
We haven't done. Well, that was fun when we used to do that.
Yeah.
We should bring that back.
We will this winter.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like they talked about him as is kind of a little bit of a crazy sort of maverick in terms of like he's like really quick on Pro Tools and stuff like that. Like he'll be
Shawn
like,
Everett.
Yeah, he'll be in the computer control room, go on the keyboard kind of thing. We're like, look what I made, kind of thing. That's not how they said it, but yeah, I think like he sort of helped them because they were like as a band, Lost Natives. They said they spent a lot of their career on these albums, like really kind of they didn't say overthinking, but really kind of demoing a lot and working on things a lot. They even mentioned they have this really great long interview. I didn't watch all of it, but Grammy Museum Local Natives interview. It's like a hour-long interview with specifically about this album, actually, Violet Street, with the whole band. So I didn't watch all of it, but definitely nuggets of information in there, kind of thing. But they were saying that there can be this thing called demoitis, you know, how they say it, like you'll write a cool thing, you'll demo it, and then you spend the rest of the time trying to reproduce it, trying to like recapture that thing that was in the demo. And sometimes you get this, sometimes you don't. I remember we did this episode on the XX, and there's tracks that they've literally not put out because they couldn't recapture the magic that was in the demo, kind of thing. Right. So I think this time around they didn't want to demo anything. They were just trying to keep it as close to the original idea as possible. They said if you've got something cool, just record it in your iPhone. That's it. Don't take it any further. He said because in the band they're all capable of producing the music themselves and demoing things and all that. But this time around they just wanted to all come together and recapture that joy of being a band, playing in a room together. That sort of a thing you get of playing together and connecting and sort of feeding back on each other with your ideas, kind of thing. It sounds like they sort of maybe lost in the writing process along the way, and something they really wanted to bring back for this album. So like spontaneity, the live aspect, kind of thing, is kind of what they talked a bit about that I saw for this album, Violet Street. Yeah.
Amen, sir.
Yeah.
No, I think that's astute observations.
Yeah.
I like this album. I like this band.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I guess we're kind of there. That's all I got on this band.
Yeah.
Like I like where they've come from, and I like where they're going. I like seeing the growth and the change.
They do have a label, they obviously have a manager, but they're DIY.
Yeah.
In terms of like how they started, their perspective, definitely how they write music, what they write.
That's one of the main takeaways. This band does everything it seems.
Yeah.
With intention.
Yeah. And changing direction, third album in, you know, without really, you know. I think that was the thing as well, going back to earlier in the conversation about the comparison stuff. There was something that one of the guys from Local Natives said is like, there are artists out there that make music for business, and we're not one of them. We're in it for the art, kind of thing. And I think that really shows on their change of direction and being able to follow through on their artistry without it doesn't seem like they're being interfered with by label or business or marketing concerns, kind of thing. Like they're able to sort of do that. So yeah, that's really hard to do, but they're doing it and they're making a living, it seems. Like
At least enough
doing
to
it.
keep
Yeah,
going.
Exactly. At least enough to put out another album. Yeah.
And
Got to hit the road for 2 years though to make it happen. Maybe is the thing. Like, yeah.
Like you said, they're doing it for the love of the music.
Yeah.
They're doing it for themselves.
Actually, I forgot about that. That's what they literally said. I saw an interview. They were asked about the definition of success, and they said, you know, all that's within their control is to write the music they want to write and go out and play it live. So they don't have any control over anything else. And the best thing for them to do is to be able to travel and to be able to connect with the audience and share these songs and have that two-way sort of communication with them. So
Again, connection.
yeah, connection.
That's
It's all
what they're about.
connection. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are really good from their mindset to their music,
Yeah.
their outlook, their perspective. I can get behind these guys. Frank. No, I was going to say Frank Moody.
Frank Moody. Previous episode, if you haven't listened, go check it out.
Local Natives. But Frank Moody is also another cool band.
Yeah.
Local Natives. What else do we got?
I think that is all I had that I wanted to spew out.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, one
I'm
more
all
thing.
spewed out.
Sorry, one more thing. Radio. You know that app?
No.
It's funny because we first talked about it on the Polo and Pan episode. There's this app called Radio with like 5 O's.
Okay. It does. Yeah.
It's a website. You can go there and you can scroll back in time and you can listen to what was popular in a different country in
Okay.
a certain time period.
You did mention that.
I think we first talked about it because Polo and Pan's friends had made the site. And, and these are the same guys that do Polo and Pan's artwork. We talked about it in another episode recently where Radio came out with this artist that she was listening a lot to that app to create lyrics.
Right.
And also local natives have discovered it and have been listening to it. So I think it's funny that we talked about the origins of it in the same chronological order as we've been finding other artists finding out about it.
Yeah, we
didn't plan that, but yeah.
we didn't hear about it beforehand
No, we didn't hear it.
in previous almost 100 episodes.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's an interesting thing. More and more artists are like citing this as a cool place to go
That's a good point.
for inspiration. Local natives did it in a way where they were like, they had this weird experiment where they'd take like a scene from a movie. So they took like the first 8 minutes from, I think, the movie Driver, and they brought up this app, Radio, and they pulled up a random song from a different area, from a different country, and then they asked the band members, like, play something in this style. And so they played something to try and mimic or replicate that sort of vibe and style sort of thing. And they created this song, and then they edited the song to the movie scene kind of thing, to sort of have the audio match the picture kind of thing. It sounded like a weird experiment. I think they did it twice. There was like B-sides that never got released. One of them might have gotten released as a B-side somewhere kind of thing. But it's just weird to me. This stuff didn't make their album, but they were using this app as inspiration for things. So, it's come up like 3 times now. And the first time is the origin story. Pilo and Pan, Risa Grooves, the origin story of
It's right
Radio.
there.
It's right there. Go listen back.
Go check it out. Check out that app.
Yeah.
But it does seem like artists, doing stuff in contemporary music industry today are using that app.
Yeah, for some reason.
So, check it out. It could be very useful.
Yeah, I believe it's radio with 5os.com.
5 O's.
I think, yeah. I'll Google it. Radio.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think. Are we good on local natives?
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
I'm good. I feel good about this episode.
Yeah.
I think we were insightful. I think we learned something. I hope everybody else did too. But if you guys have anything else to let us know, we want to learn more about local natives. We're here to learn and grow with you guys. So let us know some cool facts. If we fucked up on some information, let us know because we want to correct it. But if you guys got anything to say, good or bad, let us know. Jay's got the email.
Reach the grooves at signalradio.com, SIGNL radio.com.
Face stain in the ceiling. Why does it keep saying
Roots to Grooves is a production of SIGNL Radio. For more music and independent culture, visit signalradio.com. That's SIGNL radio.com.